Welcome to your 12-minute HR lesson. Today, I'm going to criticize your organizational values by talking about love songs. Let's go. Put your clock back for the winter. She asks when I'll be home again. Now that means something to you. You're obviously from New Zealand of a certain age. If it doesn't, that's the first line of She Had's iconic, nostalgic, anthemic song, Home Again. I bring that up because if you know the song, it's extremely triggering. It fires off all these memories and thoughts and feelings, and you go, that's right. One of my favorite podcasters talks about perhaps one of the strongest emotions that we can feel, one of the true joys in life, is rediscovering a song that you had loved but forgotten about. There's something beautiful about, I remember that song, that was so good. So let's talk quickly about the song Home Again by She Had. It was a surprise hit, or it's become a surprise hit, but somehow it has this nostalgic factor. I was there when it was released. I remember watching the video going, oh, this is fine, this is a good song. I've always liked She Had. I quite liked that song when it came out, but it didn't quite capture me the way that it does now and captured so many other people, which is having this somehow strong nostalgic feel about it. And that song was a real cult classic. It went from just being a regular song to quietly becoming their most iconic, quietly become the best song on the playlist if you go to a She Had concert and you hear that riff kicking off and everybody's singing along. It wasn't their best song, it wasn't their greatest song, but somehow it's become their most iconic song. And the question is why? And once you know what you're looking for, you start to see them around the place. It's a song about home. It's a song about nostalgia. It's a song about going back to where you're from and connecting with it. And you get songs about home all through New Zealand here and there. There's Dave Dobbyn's Welcome Home. There's Anchor Me by the Mutton Birds. One of my favourites is a song, Home by Anna Mac. And those are just New Zealand songs, because I can't talk about nostalgic songs for home and not talk about the ones that resonate with New Zealand. But also outside of that, there's the international songs. There's Sweet Home Alabama. There is Take Me Home Country Road. Even Kanye West has a song with Chris Martin that somehow has this nostalgic feel about it. And songs about home tug on the heartstrings. Now I want you to think about a different concept. I want you to think about songs about a different topic. And what I want you to do is contrast those two types of songs and think, what provokes me more? What brings forward more concrete concepts and emotions and thoughts and feelings? And contrast them. I have a thesis that I want you to think about, so I'm going to lay it out at the front. And it goes like this. Love songs are too broad, too generic, non-specific, overdone, overworked, dime a dozen, such that we don't learn anything from a song about love anymore. Maybe we used to, maybe back in the 1930s when popular music really started, but it is such a well-walked path that our brain doesn't engage anymore on a love song. What I'm going to do is I'm going to rattle off 5 love songs. And I'm not saying you shouldn't enjoy them. I'm not saying you won't like them. I'm not saying you can't like these songs. But the question I want you to think about is, what is it telling me? What am I learning about love when it talks about it? What immediately jumps into my mind that wasn't there before? So let's go. I Will Always Love You by Whitney Houston. Your Song by Elton John. Thinking Out Loud by Ed Sheeran. Can't Help Falling in Love by Elvis Presley. At Last by Etta James. So think about that. You could, if you dug down and really, really thought about it, find some meaning, but our brains don't automatically engage on that question. They don't start stirring up thoughts, feelings, emotions the way that a song about home does. Now, I'm not saying it's 100% one and 0% the other, but a song about home is more resonant because it's more scarce and less overdone. But most importantly, it's more specific. It makes you think about a thing. It makes you think about your hometown, your favorite beach, your old friends. These are ideas and memories that it stirs. I'll be home again says something. It puts us in the picture of walking back into a door that we used to live. Now, if we lived in a different world in which every other song is about home and songs about love don't come up that often, we would feel quite differently. But the world that we are living in at the moment in popular music is just every other song is a love song, every other song is a ballad, every other song is talking about the thing that you've heard talked about thousands and thousands and thousands of times. There is nothing new that a song about love can teach you because you've heard it all before. So I've talked about songs about home. I've talked about songs about love. I'm going to give you a bunch of other songs and see if you can figure out what I'm talking about here. You Can't Always Get What You Want by the Stones. No Scrubs by TLC. Stuck in a Moment You Can't Get Out Of by U2. Lazy Song by Bruno Mars. And perhaps the ultimate, I'll Do Anything for Love But I Won't Do That by Meatloaf. So what's the theme? What's the idea here? Love songs are invariably positive. Love songs are talking about what you will do. These are negative songs. These are songs pointing out negative things. These are what isn't going to happen or won't happen. Sorry, buddy, no scrubs is TLC's very clear policy. We don't know what they want. We at least know what they don't. We don't know what Meatloaf will do for love. It seems to be quite a broad category, but at least there's one thing that he won't. It's been a while since I've been within a corporate environment. There's not many things that I miss, and one of the things I definitely don't miss and glad I'll never have to do again is sit round and have a discussion about values and mission statements. I don't have a problem fundamentally with the idea. I just have a problem with the pattern of what happened. It's almost inevitable that any brainstorming session around mission statement, organizational values, will almost inevitably end up being broad, vague, catch-all, non-specific, and not really giving us any true meaning or understanding that we wouldn't have thought of or known of before. There's very few organizations that I've ever worked with or walked into in which the mission statement or the values make me go, oh, okay, I've learnt something. Inevitably, all mission statements, there might be some out there, I'm sure there are if there are, but there's a very, very good chance your mission statement is essentially a love song. It's essentially trying to cover so many bases and be inoffensive and non-specific that it doesn't really tell us anything anymore. I'm not trying to change the world with these podcasts. If there's one thing I would like to push against, and that is this bias towards vague and inoffensive positive statements and the rejection of negative. When we keep things positive, broad, and vague, what it means is that we end up not really meaning anything at all. By trying to create a catch-all, we end up catching nothing. By trying to mean everything, we end up meaning nothing. So my challenge that I put to you is not just for the sake of being contrarian, but it's going back to the question of what is the purpose of values? What is the purpose of a mission statement? It's to tell people what they ought to be doing or what is important. If you keep it broad and non-specific and vague and nebulous and covering all bases, that doesn't really guide anyone's behavior. It doesn't tell people what they ought to be doing. If we're actually serious about trying to change human behavior, we would actually get more mileage by saying what they shouldn't do. Instead of writing generic love songs, we should at least make them more specific, veer away from love songs to songs about home, something that really connects and gives them something to really anchor onto. If we were really pushing the boat out, we would be prepared to put in some negative terms. We would be prepared to have a no scrub song. We would be prepared to say, this is what we don't put up with around here. Our values are not determined by what we would generally like everybody to overall believe, but actually say this is what we don't do. This is what is not accepted and what is not tolerated around here. What's your takeaway from all of this? Be prepared to write a no scrubs rather than a love song. If no scrubs is pushing the boat out too far, at least aim for a song about home. Yeah, I know what you're thinking. You're calling me chicken. And one, nobody calls me chicken. Two, yeah, you're right. I did chicken it. I chickened out on using home again, or at least a sample of it in this podcast. I looked up how much of a sample of a song can you use before you hit copyright infringement? And the answer is there is no clear amount. There is no minimum. There is no 2-second rule. So hence you can't use the riff. And I also chickened out because I didn't sing it. So sorry. Double chicken on my part. My apologies. I'll try and do better next time. So once again, thank you for listening. Once again, if you want to check out our website, Pragmatic HRM, check out our HR training courses, check out our HR services that we can offer. If you're not interested, not a problem. Just please share us around so other people can hear us. Thank you.